In this video, we'll learn how to write the equation of the line given one of the many representations. It could be from a numerical table where it lists points. It could be from a symbolic equation, which is the equation, but we'll learn how to change the equation to different forms, or from a graph. And so given one of the four equations, you're going to be able to write the equation in standard point-slope or slope-intercept forms and convert between them. And towards the end of this lesson, you'll be able to determine if two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And you can find lines that are parallel or perpendicular to another line. So, how do we find the equation of the line? Well, the first thing you will need is the slope and 2 points. So, in this case here, I'm going to pick 2 points that are pretty nice. There's this one here that looks like a 1, 2. And then there's this point over here, which looks like it goes through nicely, which is at 4, 4. So there's 2 ways to find the slope. So the slope, m, this is going to be 4 minus 2 divided by 4 minus 1, which is equal to 2/3. You can also read it off if you remember. If you come across here, there's a 3. And you can go vertically, there is a 2. So it goes, so the rise is 2, the run is 3. So in this case here, the slope is 2. And then we need a point. This point has a couple names. Some people call it like a base point or a particular point, but this is a point that will represent what the function is. So I'm just going to choose a point. It does not matter which point, just like you can choose the 1, 2 or the 4, 4. I'm going to choose the point 1, 2. And then I'm going to pick another point. It's going to be some random point. I'm going to go all the way over here, x, y. So while this point, the 1, 2, is called a particular point or a base point, this is going to be a generic point. X, y. So x and y is representing some generic quantity on this line. It means it satisfies whatever equation this is going to be. So if we write the slope of the line with the generic point and our chosen point, we get that m is equal to y minus 2 divided by x minus 1. I'll always put the generic point first for this, just to make it make a bit more sense. But we know what the value is. We know that it's 2/3. So this is equal to 2/3. So now we have a formula or an equation in terms of both x and y. So this can be rewritten by multiplying both sides by an x minus 1 to be y minus 2 is equal to 2/3 x minus 1. So this is called point slope. So in general, given a point and slope, so I'm going to say the point is a, b, and the slope is m. The point slope form is the equation y minus b is equal to m x minus a. And you can see that here with the chosen point, our 1 is our a, our 2 is our b, and our 2/3 is m. So some generic information here. To use the point slope form, all you need is a point, for instance a, b, or 1, 2 in this case, and the slope. Now if you're given 2 points on the line, which is fairly common to have, is that you can get 2 points in the line. What you would then need to do is find the slope given those 2 points, and then choose one of them as your base point to use the point slope form. So there are 3 forms of equations of lines that are fairly common and standard. There's point slope form. So if you're given a point a, b, and slope m, the point slope form is of the form y minus b is equal to m x minus a. So that's in fact the equation that we just found above. That's in point slope form. That is usually the easiest to write the equation of the line from. just using a point and slope. Next one is slope-intercept form. So given the slope m and y-intercept 0, comma b, so this is a very particular point that you're given. In this case here, a is 0. The slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. That's probably the one you're probably most familiar with. It's also the easiest one to graph. Lastly, there's the standard form. So this is ax plus by is equal to c for some real numbers a, b, and c. All right, this is the standard form. This is what defines a linear equation. The standard form, these ones can handle vertical lines as well. So the vertical lines, there's an issue with the slope there, right? Because the slope is undefined for vertical lines. So the standard form is the only way to write vertical lines. You're going to be able to find that b would be 0 in that case. So given our equation here, how do we write the equation y minus 2 is equal to 2/3 x times x minus 1 in terms of point slope form, standard form, and slope-intercept form? And this requires a little bit of algebra to rearrange things. So typically I want to point out that for standard form, a, b, and c are integer values, like 2 or 3 and 5 maybe. They can be -2. They're usually not fractions. I just want to let you know. How do we write y minus 2 is equal to 2/3 x minus 1 into slope-intercept form? And that requires a little bit of rearranging. So the first thing I'm going to do is distribute that 2/3, our slope there. So we have y minus 2 is equal to 2/3 x minus 2/3. So just be very careful with the distribution. That is a very common thing, particularly when the slope is negative, because it gets that double negative in there. Now, the slope-intercept form has a y. So I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get y is equal to 2/3 x minus 2/3 plus 2. So now we just need to simplify that minus 2/3 plus 2. Well, that's 4/3. So we get y minus, or is equal to 2/3 plus 4/3. So it's 2/3 x plus a 4/3. So this is now our slope-intercept form. And so what's nice about this form is that we also know our y-intercept is going to be 0, 4/3. So for instance, given the graph that we had earlier, using the y-intercept as one of the points to find the slope wasn't going to be probably the nicest idea. So to get it into standard form now, what we need to do is bring the x over to the left side. So I'm going to subtract negative 2/3 x from both sides. So we get minus 2/3 x plus y is equal to 4/3. Now, as I mentioned, we want these to be integers. So you don't want fractions or things like that. I mean, technically you can, but most people like these to be integers. So now I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 3. Doing that, I get minus 2x plus 3y is equal to 4. So now this is in standard form. And what's really nice about standard form is that it's the easiest actually to read off what the intercepts are. So point slope form is typically the one I'll go to when I need to find the equation of a line given 2 points or a point and a slope. To graph the line, I'll usually put it into slope-intercept form. That's because I can read off the intercept and then use the slope to find a second point to graph. And then the standard form, typically I'll use this one when I need to find the intercepts. It is really easy to find intercepts from this.